Hey guys, and welcome back. This week we are delving into astrology, and we're going to get into Mercury Retrograde. We're going to explore just a little blip of the mythology, a little bit of the symbolism that's happening with both Mercury Retrograde and specifically the one we just had that just went through Aries in retrograde, where today it's going stationary and it's going to start moving forward again. And I just wanted to kind of break some of the stereotypes because there is more going on than just, oh, everything's going to shit because Mercury's in retrograde. I just want to maybe present this in a way where you can get something from it rather than just sit in those stereotypes of the shittiness that can come along. To lay it out, though, right off the get-go, personally, I don't believe that the planets or the stars make me feel something or make something happen. What I do believe, though, is that they can be a symbol of the way that things are currently happening. You know, if you think about back when astrology was getting its roots or being built, that was back when people were watching the stars and watching their surroundings and noticing and mapping out correlations. Just like we found our equinoxes and our solstices and the changings of the seasons, people were watching the earth and the sky at the same time and noticing correlations. Same with cultural events, societal events, and individual events, and noticing, hey, when this was here, this was happening. When that was there, this was happening. And so after the thousands of years of cultivation of this night sky watching, we come up with a pattern grid that we call astrology, a grid of patterns in the way that they move around. And so I do believe that there is benefit in them, even if it's just to remind me, oh yes, this is going on. So with that as the framework, let's talk about a little bit of the mythology behind Mercury. So Mercury is the Roman version of the Greek god Hermes. And so he is the messenger god. He's the fastest one out there. He's who relays information from God to God or from God down into humanity, which is where we come into all of this. And so other things attributed to him, you know, you have communication, travel, intellect, and then, you know, on and on. But we're really going to focus on this idea of being the communicator and being the messenger god. And so what's cool is that Mercury is always out there. He's always doing his thing, which means that God always has a message for you. There's always something that can be said. There's always something that can be relayed or you can remember or that you can notice. And God is always sending these messages to you because Mercury is always going around. He's always doing his thing. What makes a retrograde special, though, first scientifically or physically, is that we get into this weird sweet spot around our rotation around the sun where Mercury actually seems to go backwards across the sky. And so Mercury retrograde, even right there, says, I need you to slow down and then go back forward. And that is where we get a lot of the stereotypes. Because during Mercury retrograde, stereotypically or commonly noticed in a pattern, we find things going wrong that force us to be still. You know, whether your car doesn't work, your phone doesn't work, you can't get the emails to go through to this job, communication's all wonky, and we're kind of put in this position where, okay, UPS has been knocking at your door, but now we're going to break it in and you're going to listen to this message that we have for you. We're going to deliver this message to you. And so simply said, Mercury retrograde is just a natural pattern that says, all right, I need you to just be still and know for a minute. God has something he needs to relay to you. There's a message here for you that you can only listen to if you're quiet enough to listen to it. And I think that that's an awesome idea that is perpetuated by a lot of theologies, a lot of spiritual paths, is that in your stillness, God speaks to you. And up in the sky, we have a pattern that we call Mercury retrograde that kind of prompts and moves us into that stillness so we can listen to a message. And that's Mercury retrograde as a whole. All right. So then what happens is, though, it happens in these different signs. You know, it happens across the sky. It happens in different places. And so what happened just recently is that it was doing this in the sign of Aries. So Aries is the first sign of the zodiac. It's that inspiration, it's that spark, it's that impulse, it's that firstness, it's that newness. And that's the word we're going to stick with, is this newness. And I can only really speak from my perspective, but I've been both in my personal life and throughout intimate conversations that I've had. I've noticed that there is a sense of newness that is dwelling on the horizon. You know, the spring season is really doing it well with all these new flavors of life, all these new things coming our way. Whether that is a new job opportunity, a new housing arrangement, new creative outlets, new perspective incorporations, new blank. You fill it in with whatever's going on in your story. But there is this spark of newness happening. And so in the midst of all of this newness, which as exciting as it can be, it can be very intimidating and it can be very confusing to know how to engage with it. In the middle of all of this Aries energy, the messenger of the god says, be still for a minute and let me talk to you. Let me relay a message about this newness. Let me coach you. Just be still and listen for a second. I'm going to draw you into yourself. I'm going to retrograde you back into your center, into your stillness, into your stationary position. And then once you hear me, if you choose to hear me, because humans are free will, we always got the choice. Just listen and then go forward into this newness. And so that, simply said, is what's going on with this Mercury retrograde in Aries. Is that in the midst of all of this newness, we are being cut off, which can almost seem like a contradiction. But we're being caught off and prompted to go back into our centers and listen for or feel for or just be present for a message to help us engage with this newness that's in front of us and move forward in a way that is more beneficial than maybe we currently understand. Because that's the point of Mercury retrograde, is saying there's a missing piece that I can give you. You know, God doesn't keep secrets. I'm going to hit this in a lot of videos, but God doesn't keep secrets. Love doesn't keep secrets. But sometimes we need to be willing to go into that quiet space. And the kickaroo, at least stereotypically with Mercury retrograde, is if you don't go, I'm going to make you go. I'm going to make you go and be still for a minute. You know, just like you're going, and you get hit with the flu. Okay, yeah, you need to sit down, dude. You need to just rest for a second. And so I just wanted to take a time and lay that out there. And just, if you're going through this newness, if you're engaged in this newness, or even if you're afraid of this newness, whatever that may be for you, just know that to be in that still, quiet space is never a bad choice. To reconnect to your center, to go retrograding into your own center, into your own self, and just be stationary for a moment before you re-engage with this world around you. Super exciting if you're going through that process. I wish you the best of luck, because man, is it both tricky and exciting at the same time. And that is the heart of the matter. I love you guys very much, and I'll be back with you next week, okay? All right, bye.